Hello Saber fans, and Happy New Year! Today I want to do a video of all the sabers that I currently have in my collection as of January 1st, 2021. So as I go into the new year, I just kind of want to have a benchmark of all the sabers that I currently have, kind of share them with you guys, and towards the latter half of the video I'm going to actually show you some of the other modifications that I've done, some things that I've made out of PVC pipe and things that I use as part of my saber collection. In the background, I have set some music by one of my favorite bands, Magic Sword, so I hope you guys enjoy. But first of all, let's start with the top. So my personal opinion of shelf queens is that I never really wanted to have one. I wanted to make sure that all of my sabers had a purpose, and I'll go over what those purposes are. But I've kind of realized that this is pretty much my shelf queen. This is an Ultra Sabers Crimson Scorpion. As you can see, it looks nothing like any of my other sabers. I have installed a Ripper Blades Dark Saber blade in it. So that's the reason why it occupies the top shelf, because it just has that extra quality, just visually. Now I have set this to Guardian Blue. Well, not set this. I ordered this in Guardian Blue. I also got a red Flash on Clash. So you can see that there. Before I started collecting Crimson Dawn sabers, this was actually my most premium hilt, but now these latter three definitely have more features than this. But I still really enjoy this, and one of the things that I enjoy this so much that this display blade pretty much stays in this. A couple options though that I do have. So one of the things you'll notice, this green in this window here. And that is because I've put a bit of Photon Blade, just cut about 2 inches, just enough to fit into there, and give the Dark Saber blade enough room. I also have it in just regular blue, so that if I wanted to, I can switch things up and put an actual Photon Blade in this. And that way I can turn my blue blade into a very bright, vibrant green blade. And I did this because, initially I was just collecting Ultra Sabers, and they didn't have a lot of color changing options. So here's an enhanced red, and that enhanced red with the blue makes a nice purple on camera. And having that bit of blue stock blade in here makes that window just look a little bit different, and I really enjoy that. So really enjoy this saber. Like I said, it does occupy that shelf queen position in my collection, but overall I still quite enjoy this saber. Of course, it has V4 sound, so I have different sound fonts, but it's never going to be anything but blue unless I swap out those blades. So the next blade that I have is also an Ultra Sabers, and this is an Ultra Sabers Initiate V5 LE. And so what makes it the LE is just that instead of being all black, it's got the silver etchings. And this is specifically for my wife. So, I wanted to get a lightsaber for her. She doesn't use it much, so this one pretty much stays on the shelf as well. But for, purposes of, making sure that my wife and my two sons have all their own sabers, we got this. Now this one is just a Stunt Saver, so it does not have any sound. It has a closed pommel here. And I've not really made any modifications. I've got modifications on, pretty much all of these sabers. So you can see on the Scorpion, I've got some black tape here. I've got the thumb screws here, and then of course the Dark Saber blade. But really not a lot of modification here. And aside from the thumb screw, no modifications here. Aside from the day blade. So Arctic Blue, for those of you that don't collect Ultra Sabers, is just their term for a blue that has both a blue diode and a green diode. So it comes off as more of a light blue, more like the original trilogy Sabers. Um, and then, of course, this is Tri-Guardian Blue, so it's got two diodes of blue and one diode of green. And then I put this in a blue Dayblade, not only because it looks good on the shelf, but it kind of makes that into a more deep blue. All right, so the next saber is, I would have to say, had I gotten this in Tauri's when I first started collecting lightsabers, it's unlikely that I would have continued to collect lightsabers because this just has everything that I want. So let's wake that up. All right, so one of the differences between the Crimson Dawn Sabers and the Ultra Sabers, the Ultra Sabers, you just push the button and it turns on. With these, they have a deep sleep mode, so you have to wake them up. So you hold the button, then you see the illuminated switches on, and then... So I've set this to purple. Now this is RGB color changing. I'm not really going to go over all the features, but this has smooth swing. And because it does have a lot of aesthetics similar to Luke's Return of the Jedi, so it has that faucet knob handle, it's got the silver, the black striping, the thin neck. I've added this gold tape as well. Yeah, this probably would have been my end-all saber had I started with this. I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because I've learned a lot over 2020, and that's why I'm kind of doing this video moving into 2021. So, all right, the next saber. Now, this was actually my first Crimson Dawn saber. Not the first one that I ordered, but it was the first one that actually ended up arriving. And so this is a Dark Dragoon. I have done some modifications. I've kind of sanded some of the black anodizing so that it kind of has a more rough used look. And this is actually a Neopixel, so let's turn this one on. Another thing that you'll notice with the Antares and this is that I have added a little recharge port plug that kind of looks like a little button, but that's just to kind of prevent dust and stuff from getting in there. And one of the things with the, this is not a Profi board, this is just the regular Neopixel. I'm not big into a lot of the options and stuff with Profi and programming that, so that's a little daunting for me. The regular Neopixel is great. The only thing that I don't like about the regular Neopixel is that it never saves your color. You know, I brought this one out of deep sleep and it was set to purple because I had it on purple. Now this will set your sound, so I set this to mute. So I could set the music, or set the sound back on, but whenever you wake this one up, it always goes back to white. But of course, they're all color changing, so you just hold for 2 pulses, and then press and hold again, and it will start to scroll through those colors again. Oh, so that's the flash, actually. Let me try that again. Right, there we go. So it starts, it's going into blue, and then purple, and now a nice red. So, you know, that Neopixel, I had to have a Neopixel. So in terms of, you know, purpose, you know, this is my display shelf queen. This is my wife's saber. This is kind of my, I don't know, ultimate saber, if you will, that has, you know, everything that I want aesthetically, the smooth swing, all the features that has. This is actually going to be my Neopixel, and then I like the balance. So even though there's LEDs in this, and this is a very heavy blade, it sits really far down, probably about this low, and so it's actually surprisingly well balanced because it does have this extension here above the emitter. So okay, let's turn that off and look at that beautiful Neopixel. Love it. All right, so the next saber, and this is more my cosplay saber for my my Jedi character. This is the Shade V2. I've made a lot of modifications on this, mostly O-rings and foil tape to get kind of a chrome accent, but I got this in there gray because I like how it kind of looks like Beskar. I also wanted the emitters to be a little fatter, so I just got some PVC and put around here. It's held in place. There's some actually electrical tape underneath that's really fitted, so it's not going to move. And then I just put some thicker O-rings on the outside edges. And then this comes apart right in the middle. And that's the coupler, but this section here from here to here is actually an extension that I've done so that I don't have to replace anything. I put some foam in there. The speaker's like way up here, so I can kind of take these two apart. And I've got my primary saber. You know, this one's a little longer, and then kind of that. But I've got these in Photon Blades. So because they're in Photon Blades, even though they're color changing, and I've got this set to like the light blue, so that has both the blue and green diode, but because of the photon effect, it's all green. And then I can set this to red. Red comes through Photon Blades really, really well. I really like these in the pulse setting. I don't like the Neopixel in the pulse setting, just because you lose the scroll effect of the blade when it's either on pulse or unstable. But for these, you know, they're shorter blades, so kind of having that fade on isn't a big deal. But they, of course, still have the fade off. Yep. So even though this is RGB, I pretty much always have it in green because that's my Jedi character. And I can set it to red every now and again. My son and I like to duel, and he's almost always the good guy, so I'll go ahead and set those to red whenever we duel, and I can just switch out those blades for some thicker blades. All right, so that was all my sabers. Now I want to share a couple of little extras. So my channel, of course, has mostly saber content, but I do have a lot of miniature content. That was actually the hobby that I had before I started collecting lightsabers, is that I painted tabletop games. And those of you who have been subscribers of mine for a little while, you may or may not have noticed that my icon has recently changed, and I've merged my two hobbies. So this is actually a miniature. Let me see if I can get this to focus. This is a miniature of myself in my Jedi costume with lightsabers. So yeah, I just kind of put that together from a few extra parts. Green stuff is actually like the epoxy putty that the hobby uses, so I kind of made the hood, and then used just some clear green plastic for the lightsaber blades. All right, so a couple of things that I've done with PVC is this is a crossguard adapter. So it's just a few things of PVC. You can see that just 1 inch inner diameter. This is the bottom part that will go into the hilt. And then I've just added these little quillions, and this is just empty T-bar. And then because it's purely white on the inside, a lot of that light reflects. So, you know, you put the full photon blade in there, and that goes all the way. And I did drill this hole just to tighten that. And then we can switch that out for a blade, any blade that has a flat emitter. So I won't be able to use that on the Antares because of the slanted, and of course it won't work with the Neopixel. But anything that's in-hilt LED with the flat top, I can just slide that in. And I've got a little bit of electrical tape there. Give that a little push just to kind of make sure that it blocks any light. And ta-da! Now I have a crossguard lightsaber. Now it is PVC, so I don't really duel with this. I imagine there'd be some weak points here that will prevent that from being able to duel, but otherwise, visually, that looks pretty cool. And I like that it's versatile enough that I can do that with any of my sabers. So, all right, so the next thing that I want to show, so I do like to spin, obviously. That's one of the aspects of this hobby that's really nice. And so I've been practicing things lately that I don't really want to do with any of these sabers, just because there's increased chance of dropping it initially. So what I've done is I made my own dummy sabers, and this is just a wooden dowel rod with bits of PVC. So I just got some PVC pipe bits that I knew would fit together, that would look good, have a decent decent grip, and then I just painted this. And I made two because I have a PVC coupler here. And so I can actually practice with staff or with them paired. And these are the same. I know you can't see that on camera, but from tip to tip, it's about the same as my staff. Because my staff is what I primarily duel with and I like to spin with. So I've done that to get a little practice so that if I want to do some behind the back stuff or kind of tossing them, I don't have to worry about those dropping and getting marred. Because as much as I like, in this case I've done a little bit of weathering on that, the rest of my sabers I prefer to keep mostly pristine. A couple dings might be fine, but with the amount of practice that I'm doing, I really wanted some dummy sabers to kind of take that abuse. Another thing that I want to show is this PVC extension. And then this is just a long PVC pipe wrapped in electrical tape. I have these little coupler ends with foil tape. And then this is a little custom bit that I made. I got a double male coupler. So this threaded part, you can't see under here, but there's a threaded part in here. I permanently glued that in. It took me a long time to kind of sand both the threads here and the internal part here. I wanted to make sure that that's not coming out. And then I took a spare Crimson Dawn coupler, so the same part that's right here in the shade, and I cut the hole. I cut out that the aluminum that's in there just so that the tube goes all the way in. But I've done that because one of the big differences between the Ultra Sabers and the Crimson Dawn is the way that they're threaded. So real quick for this. So these are what we call MHS compatible. So Ultra Sabers and the Custom Saber Shop all have compatible parts. And so what I can do is I can take this part, it goes all the way in, and now I've got, a huge kind of pike. And I've got another video on that, so I won't necessarily go too much in depth with this, but one of the things that I've kind of added to that since that video was, again, that little Crimson Dawn cover there, because now the same pike I can take, pommel off of a Crimson Dawn, and thread that just like so. So now I have a versatile pike that I can take any of my single sabers, whether it be Ultra Sabers or Crimson Dawn, and just have something different. So last but not least, I want to show my blade plug. So obviously I display all of my lightsabers with blades in, and so I don't typically use blade plugs, but I was struck by inspiration for this one, so I just took a regular blade plug. I drilled a hole in this top piece here so that I could kind of put this little crystal suspended, and then I just put some little plastic like car part around, like model car part bits. And I did show this when I did my Antares review, but what I also like is on my Ultra Sabers Scorpion, I can put this thing in there and it goes all the way down to this window, and then of course you can see that there. And it's really hard to capture that on camera because it is so bright. but you have kind of this crystal chamber effect. But that's just a little display piece that I wanted to share with you guys. These are all my sabers. Let me turn them all on so that you can see them in their glory. Oh, actually, before I forget, here is another set of sabers that I have. I got these from the Custom Saber shop. Just a little keychain. I just think that's neat. These are like $1.25 from the Custom Saber shop. So I'm probably going to order a bunch more of these. I just think that they're really neat. I have 2 green ones and a red one. But yeah, let me go ahead and fire up all of these, and we'll take that one final look. Alright, so that is my collection in all its glory. I know this video was a little longer than my usual ones, but I definitely had a lot to unpack there and share with you guys. So this is my Saber collection as of January 1st, 2021. I plan on doing another video a little later, just showing some of my son's sabers as well. So they have a similar shelf setup in their room, and so I'll get that video out shortly. But for this video, I thank all of you guys for watching all of my videos all through 2020. I know it was a crazy year, but in terms of collecting sabers, that's when I started collecting, and I've learned a lot, and I'm really happy with all the sabers that I have. Have a happy year.